50 teenagers wake up trapped inside 100-foot walls where escape is impossible. They're being kept like lab rats in a deadly maze, a place that no one has ever made it out of alive. A metal cage rises through darkness carrying a terrified teenage boy who has no memory of his name, family, or how he got here. The lift suddenly stops and sunlight floods in as dozens of boys surround the cage staring down at him. The teenager panics and tries climbing out, but the boys grab him and drag him into an open field. He breaks free and runs, but crashes hard on the ground. When he looks up, he sees massive stone walls towering hundreds of feet high, completely surrounding this place. The boy notices about 50 other teenagers living here in wooden shelters they built themselves. He's completely confused and terrified, having zero memory of anything except his own name, which suddenly comes back to him: Thomas. A muscular teenager named Albie approaches, explaining Thomas is trapped in the Glade. This place has been their prison for 3 years. Albie shows Thomas around, pointing out the homestead where they sleep, gardens where they grow food, and animal pens they built from scratch. He explains every month the lift sends up a new boy with supplies and no memories. Thomas notices the massive walls have a giant opening and asks what's out there. Albie's face goes dark and he says that's the maze. He warns Thomas to never go in there because the maze is the only way out, but it's also a death trap. The walls move and change every single night, and something lives in there that kills anyone caught inside after dark. That evening, all the boys gather for dinner, and a blonde kid named Newt introduces himself, acting friendly toward Thomas. Another boy named Gally confronts Thomas, asking why he's so different from everyone else. Gally thinks Thomas will cause problems and warns him to stay away from the maze. After dinner, Thomas tries asking questions, but most boys ignore him. He notices a group of runners return through the maze entrance right before the walls start closing. Thomas watches in shock as the 100-foot stone walls begin moving and slam shut with a deafening boom. Newt explains those walls open every morning at the same time and close every night without fail. The next morning, Thomas wakes to loud grinding sounds as the maze walls reopen. He watches the runners prepare to enter and spots their leader Miho gearing up with supplies. Albie explains the runners have been mapping the maze for 3 years, searching for an exit. They memorize everything they see because nothing can be brought out since the maze changes completely every night. Thomas desperately wants to help, but Albie refuses, saying only the fastest and strongest become runners. Plus, newbies have to prove themselves first by working other jobs. Thomas spends his first day trying different tasks, including working with the gardeners, the builders, and the cooks, but he's terrible at everything. That night around the campfire, Albie explains their only rules: everyone does their part, no one hurts another glader, and never ever go into the maze unless you're a runner. Suddenly, Gally starts a fight with Thomas, claiming he's going to ruin everything. The other boys break them up and send Thomas to sleep. Hours later, Thomas hears strange mechanical screeching sounds coming from the maze. Newt appears behind him and drags Thomas away, explaining those are Grievers, the mechanical monsters that patrol the maze at night, killing anyone they find. The next day, Chuck, the youngest boy in the Glade, befriends Thomas and shows him around. Chuck explains he's been here 1 month and still hasn't remembered anything about his past life. He tells Thomas that some boys have been stung by Grievers and went through something called the changing, where they get brief memory flashes but go completely insane. Thomas watches Miho and the other runners return that evening. They look exhausted and defeated, having found nothing new in the maze again. Albie announces they've been trapped 3 years and explored every section hundreds of times, but the exit remains hidden. Some boys are losing hope that escape is even possible. Days pass and Thomas keeps trying to prove himself but struggles with every job. Meanwhile, he can't stop thinking about the maze. One afternoon, the lift suddenly activates, even though it's not supposed to come for another month. All the boys gather around as it rises, carrying something they've never seen before: a girl. The unconscious girl is the first female ever sent to the Glade, and she's clutching a note that says, "She's the last one ever," before falling into a coma. Thomas recognizes her somehow but can't remember from where. Gally immediately blames Thomas, saying ever since he arrived, everything has gone wrong. That evening, Thomas sneaks to the Medjack hut where the girl is being kept. He stares at her face, certain he knows her from somewhere. Suddenly she wakes up, looks directly at Thomas, and whispers his name before passing out again. This shocks everyone because she shouldn't know his name when she just arrived. Gally accuses Thomas of being part of whatever plan trapped them all here. The boys argue and tensions rise as fear spreads through the Glade. Gally takes control and decides Thomas and the girl are connected somehow, ordering both of them watched closely. But what none of them realize yet is their entire world is about to collapse. The next morning, Miho and Albie enter the maze together because Albie wants to see something Miho found in a rarely explored section. Hours pass and the other runners return, but Miho and Albie don't. As sunset approaches, the boys gather at the maze entrance, hoping to see them. Right before the walls close, Miho appears, half carrying an unconscious Albie, who has been stung by a Griever. Miho is exhausted and moving too slowly as the massive walls begin shutting. Thomas makes a split-second decision and sprints into the maze right as the walls slam closed behind him. Now all three are trapped inside with the Grievers for the entire night. Miho yells at Thomas for being stupid because they're all going to die now. Thomas helps carry Albie deeper into the maze as mechanical screeching echoes through the stone corridors. They hear a Griever approaching, so Miho tells Thomas to leave them and try to survive alone, but Thomas refuses and instead uses vines to pull Albie's body up the wall, hiding him from view. The Griever rounds the corner, a massive mechanical spider-like creature with metal legs, spinning blades, and a grotesque fleshy body covered in slime. It searches for them and Thomas stays perfectly still, pressed against the wall, holding his breath. The Griever's red scanner light passes inches from his face before it moves on. Thomas and Miho spend the entire night running through the maze dodging Grievers. At one point, 3 of the creatures corner them in a dead-end corridor. Thomas spots a section of wall starting to move and realizes the maze is shifting. He tells Miho to run toward the closing gap and they sprint as the Griever chases behind them. They barely squeeze through as the wall crushes the Griever's metal leg. Its mechanical screams echo through the maze as Thomas and Miho keep running. They find Albie still hanging from the vines and pull him down. As sunrise approaches, they carry him back toward the entrance, hoping the doors will open. The Glade walls grind open and every boy stands in shock seeing Thomas, Miho, and Albie stumble out alive. No one has ever survived a night in the maze before. Gally is furious and demands Thomas be punished for breaking the rules, but Miho defends him, saying Thomas saved both their lives. Newt calls a gathering where the keepers debate what to do. Miho shocks everyone by saying Thomas should become a runner because he did what no one else could. He survived the maze at night and killed a Griever. Gally argues Thomas is dangerous and will get them all killed. The keepers vote and barely approve, making Thomas a runner starting immediately. That night, the girl finally wakes from her coma and reveals her name is Teresa. She tells Thomas that she triggered something and everything is going to change now. The next morning, Thomas notices the walls don't open. The grinding mechanism that has worked perfectly for 3 years suddenly stops. Panic spreads through the Glade as the boys realize they're now permanently sealed inside with no supplies coming. Even worse, that night, the maze doors stay open and Grievers enter the Glade for the first time ever. The creatures attack, killing several boys as everyone scrambles for weapons. Thomas and the others fight back using spears and homemade weapons, managing to drive the Grievers away temporarily. Albie recovers from the Griever sting and goes through the changing. He starts screaming about memories returning and keeps repeating they can't leave and they're all gonna die. Gally says they should sacrifice Thomas to the Grievers, claiming that will make everything go back to normal. Half the boys agree with Gally while the other half side with Thomas. That night, Teresa approaches Thomas saying she's been having memory flashes and remembers they knew each other before the maze. She says they worked for the people who created this place. Thomas refuses to believe her, but Teresa insists they were part of this and now they have to fix it. Miho takes Thomas into the maze and shows him something incredible. Hidden behind ivy is a metal door marked with the word wicked. Miho explains he found this weeks ago but couldn't open it. Thomas examines the door and notices a circular slot that looks like it needs something inserted, and it clicks open, revealing a dark tunnel leading underground. The boys realize this might be the exit they've been searching for all along. Back in the Glade, Gally has convinced a group of boys that leaving will get everyone killed. He says the maze is their home now and they should accept it. Albie sides with Gally, claiming his memories showed him the world outside is destroyed and they're safer here. Thomas argues they have to try because staying means certain death from the Grievers. That night, Grievers attack again, killing more boys, including Albie, who sacrifices himself to save Chuck. His death breaks something in the remaining Gladers, and most decide to follow Thomas's plan to escape through the tunnel. Thomas, Teresa, Newt, Miho, Chuck, and about 20 other boys enter the maze heading toward the hidden door. Gally and a small group refuse to come, staying behind in the Glade. As Thomas's group moves through the maze corridors, multiple Grievers appear, blocking their path. A massive battle erupts as the boys fight for their lives. Many are killed or dragged away by the creatures as Thomas leads the survivors toward the door. They reach it and rush into the tunnel, descending into darkness. Behind them, the Grievers stop at the entrance, as if programmed not to follow further. The tunnel leads to an abandoned research facility filled with dead bodies in lab coats. Computer screens flicker, showing footage of the boys in the maze being watched constantly. Thomas finds a video message from a woman named Ava Page, who explains they're part of something called the Maze Trials, a test to find candidates immune to a virus that destroyed civilization. She says the boys were chosen because they're special and the maze was designed to push them to their limits. Those who escaped prove they're strong enough for the next phase. The video ends with Ava Page shooting herself as the facility is overrun by infected people. Suddenly, the lights turn on and armed soldiers surround the boys, but instead of capturing them, the soldiers lead them to a helicopter. Thomas spots Gally in the shadows holding a gun. Gally screams that Thomas ruined everything and fires. Chuck jumps in front of Thomas, taking the bullet, and dies in Thomas's arms. Miho tackles Gally as the soldiers drag Thomas toward the helicopter. They lift off and Thomas watches the maze facility disappear below them. The soldier explains they're being taken somewhere safe, but Thomas sees the fear in his eyes, suggesting nowhere is truly safe anymore. The helicopter flies over endless desert wastelands, abandoned cities, and groups of infected people roaming below. Thomas looks at the other survivors, realizing they escaped the maze but have no idea idea what fresh nightmare awaits them. The soldier mentions something called Phase 2, and Thomas understands the trials are far from over. As the sun sets over the destroyed world, Thomas holds Chuck's wooden carved figure and swears he'll find out who put them in the maze and make them pay. But what he doesn't know yet is the organization called Wicked has much bigger plans, and the maze was only the beginning. If you're still watching, this means you survived the full story. Make sure to subscribe and turn on notifications so you can watch more videos like this. Thanks for watching.